Sometimes leaders don't understand the impact and the difference they can make in people's lives. And I think one of the most critical things you can do as a leader, and this goes for being a coach or even a parent, is help people understand and see the greatness that they have inside of them. I'm going to tell you a story, and this goes all the way back to my high school baseball days. When I was a junior in high school, I had a great year. I was all county. I was one of the top prospects heading into my senior year. There were scouts coming to my games, and it was one of these situations where coming into my senior year, I felt a lot of pressure, and I really struggled for the first 3 or 4 games, and I got down on myself. So my coach recognized that, John DeVos, and we met for breakfast. And so I come in, I sit down with DeVos, and he's drinking coffee, and he pushes across the table this vanilla folder, and he says, "Kid, I want you to go through and read these for a minute." And remember, this was the 90s, right? And so there was no internet, and so inside was a bunch of clippings from my baseball career, and it was all these things like, I did this, I did that, and then he took them back from me, and he said, "Hey, look, Damon, you're one of the greatest players that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And I know you're struggling right now, but just know that I believe in you." And what he said to me right there, it's stuck with me ever since. And it's the power that leaders, coaches, and parents have to really help people understand the greatness inside of them. Okay? My name is Damon Lembi. I'm the CEO of Learnit. And welcome to another edition of the Learn It All podcast. This is the show to help today's leaders get ahead and stay ahead of the game, because we believe that great leaders aren't born or made, they're always in the making. And I'm going to share with you some tips today on what you can do to help your team, your kids, or whomever you're working with understand and see the greatness and the achievements that they've made. Sometimes I don't think we recognize the impact we can have by helping people understand the achievements they've accomplished, the greatness inside of them, okay, and things that they've already done. There's so many times that I've had employees who have struggled, right? And maybe they're down on themselves. But if you sit down with them and you share with them some of the successes they've had, if you point out some of the things that they've done to help make them successful, it really brightens their day and helps build confidence, because you know what people want? They want leaders who believe in them. So here's my recommendation, and you don't need to wait until somebody's struggling or down on themselves. Find pocket of times where you can sit down with somebody or call them up and say, "Hey, you know what? You've done a lot of great things. Let me point out what you've done," and share with them these accomplishments. Because a lot of times individuals and team members, for one, they're so caught up in what they're doing day to day that they don't take time to sit back and reflect on the successes they've had. It's your responsibility as a leader to help them really reflect and see the greatness inside themselves. And it can just be as simple as saying, "Hey, you know what? You did a really great job on this. Look what you've accomplished over the years." And point that out to them. And then from there, take it to the next level and make it visible throughout the organization. Share with the other team members some of the successes that people have had. And I'll tell you, it'll help them build confidence within this individual, and it'll be something that stays with them throughout their career. Just be curious, be mindful, and find times and opportunities to help people feel great about themselves. When you take the time to point out successes people had that maybe they don't either realize or maybe they downplay, you're going to have people who trust you, who believe in you, and they're always going to remember that. It's an impact you can have on people for their entire lives. And I'm going to share one more story before I close out here that is, I think, something that I'm really proud of. About 10 years ago, I met up with Laurel Taylor. Laurel was somebody I worked with at Learnit. She's one of our top producers in sales of all time. And she went back, I think, to graduate school, and she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do next with her career. And we sat down over lunch, and we were kind of talking about things. And she was asking me questions. She's saying, it must be so hard to be a CEO, and how do you have the patience? How do you learn to manage people? And I said to her, "Laurel, what really surprises me? Why haven't you gone out and started your own thing?" And she sat back and she said, "Do you really think that I can do that?" And I said, "Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind that you'd be an incredible leader, an incredible founder." And she said, "That means the world to me." And I definitely am not taking credit for all of Laurel's success, but she went out after that and she founded a company that's now called Candidly. Laurel has raised a bunch of money over the years, and the mission of her company, Candidly, is to help crush student debt. And every time I see Laurel, she tells me, she calls me Big D, and she says, "Hey, Big D, if it wasn't for you sitting down with me and really believing that I was able to do this, that I don't know if I ever would have went that direction and started my own thing." And it's amazing to have somebody like you, who I respected when I worked at Learnit, point out the greatness in me and the confidence it's given me. So in wrapping this up, I just want to emphasize one more time the impact and difference you can make in people's lives by helping them understand the achievements they've had, that you believe in them, and that people have greatness within them, whether it's a high school baseball coach like John DeVos and the impact he's had on my life, or the story I just shared with Laurel, that you can do this too as a leader and as a parent. So until next time, stay curious and keep learning. Have a great day, everyone.